Greetings to all. Hello and welcome to another episode of NBA Accent, the Eurocentric NBA podcast discussion show and quite possibly the weirdest NBA podcast on the planet Earth. Rokas, Grajauskas and Mykolas Jankaitis here with you this evening. We have less than 6 hours left until the start of the summer, and we have less than 72 hours left until the start of the NBA Finals.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
So quite obviously, us being NBA Accent will not be talking about the NBA Finals in this episode, but we have quite a lot of interesting topics to touch upon, and I don't even know where should we start.
I think we should start with saying goodbye to one of the best European playoff performances performed by a European basketball player, and paying respects to Luka Doncic. Of course, we know that amazing series between Celtics and Heat just wrapped up really recently, but we are aware that there's a lot of quality content about that, and Luka definitely also provided a lot of quality content throughout all those series, and Luka, together with Mavericks squad, basically was, in my eyes, they were underdogs in every series, maybe except this one, because when they arrived at the Western Conference Finals, they were playing so good basketball that I was thinking, well, maybe Warriors aren't going to beat them, you know. And just to rewind a bit, series against Utah Jazz. Jazz is always performing quite sustainably, so you can predict against whom they will collapse and against whom they would win easily. And basically you start the series without Luka Doncic and you don't know when he's coming back. He's coming back at the middle of the series and doesn't look right at all. And it takes him one game to feel like himself again. And even without him, Dallas is playing really good basketball.
Yeah, he only played in 3 games in the series against the Utah Jazz, scoring 29 points, grabbing nearly 11 rebounds a game, and providing nearly six assists as well. God damn, what's with my tongue tonight?
Yeah, and then when they demolish Utah Jazz, everyone's talking basically how bad Jazz is, how bad is like Rudy Gobert, how overrated is Donovan Mitchell, etc., etc. And the quality of Dallas Mavericks remains in question. Well, they will play against Suns will win against them, and then we're going to the same thing next season. Nobody knows what will happen with Dallas Mavericks. Well, that wasn't the case. They played amazing series and amazing last game of the series when, we talked about how shocking was the demolition that they did. Their defense came up. Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock showed themselves as really decent and even amazing perimeter defenders. And Luka himself stepped up, not being traffic cone or something like that against 2 really crafty guards. And at this point everyone was talking about how good the Dallas Mavericks are. So basically they reached that milestone of proving themselves as a franchise at this current state. Yeah. And even after this loss in the finals against amazing Warriors team, they will enter off season with expectations of stepping up to the championship level.
At the very least, reaching the conference finals again next year. I believe that not being able to do that would be considered a disappointing result for them next year in 22-23.
Yeah, of course. But we also need to remind ourselves that, we'll still have maybe Los Angeles Lakers. If they will be healthy, New Orleans Pelicans will be amazing offensive team, and they can make some noise in the regular season.
We got the young Grizzlies coming up.
Yeah,
They will definitely, well, at least, they are projected to be better being a young team and everything.
Yeah, Portland Trail Blazers will try to be better and make some moves around Damian Lillard. But
you could have stopped at just the Portland Trail Blazers will try.
Yeah, and at the beginning to be better, and at the end to get a higher pick in the 23 lottery. But of course, we have Lakers, we have Clippers, we have Denver Nuggets, 3 teams that 2 of them due to injuries, 1 of them due to incompetence, probably will be back at much higher level next season.
Should be.
Yeah. Should be. And Dallas Mavericks shouldn't do the what Portland Trail Blazers did and just set up themselves with overpaid contracts to average players just because they reach conference finals right now. Look where Atlanta Hawks are right now. They were at this point last year. They were at quite similar role as the Dallas Mavericks. So they lost against amazing Bucks, but they won against 76ers. They won the first round against Knicks too, they were underdog in both of series and some in majority eyes, but right now they are in really, really dire situation, and it's quite actually interesting because Trae Young, Luka Doncic, 2 superstars from the same draft. So I think Dallas Mavericks needs to really, really not to overjoy and makes a lot of necessary moves off season.
Yeah, which is, the teams that sort of overperform their expectations and reach the conference finals quite often do that by sort of exposing a situation where the opponents are a bit overvalued in the eyes of the majority. Well, in this case, we had the Dallas Mavericks beat the Utah Jazz, who we were all talking about it, that they are basically dysfunctional at this point and changes are needed. They beat the Phoenix Suns, where Chris Paul just disappeared in the final few games. I mean, not to take away any credit from them for doing that, but yet still, I mean, you went through a team that wasn't playing up to their capabilities, basically. And then, yes, you lost against the Golden State Warriors, which is, you can sort of overvalue this achievement, basically what Portland did. And the Atlanta Hawks did not go on a wild, crazy shopping spree in the market, and they sort of tried to run it back for another season. And what they did as well, I mean, they beat the Knicks, who were just a flash in the pan, apparently, because this season proved that they did not enjoy any sustainable success. Also, the Philadelphia 76ers, the whole Ben Simmons fiasco, it was also playing against not necessarily a dysfunctional team, but a team that had quite a lot of inner problems.
And that had one superstar quite kind of disappearing
at the
end of the series.
So, it is easy to believe that you are better than you actually are. So the most important thing, I cannot even put forward a foolproof plan of action for this summer for the Dallas Mavericks, but the most important thing is to sort of keep your feet on the ground and not get too carried away, because it was impressive. Beating the Phoenix Suns was impressive, but it sort of happened not only because of what you did, but of the problems that the other teams faced. So,
and also the matchups themselves were kind of suited to Mavericks' strengths and not suited to exploit their weakness. And a player like Andrew Wiggins was basically not unguardable, but they couldn't contain him easily, and he just delivered in basically every game, and that really helped Warriors. Imagine how they will try to defend against likes of Kawhi Leonard or LeBron James still if they face them at the series. Even Michael Porter Jr., if healthy, would be a kind of difficult
because
matchup.
the Utah Jazz didn't have like this
Wing scorer.
Basically a small forward / power forward. The Phoenix Suns as well, and even Jay Crowder did not appear to be up to his full standards.
Yeah, and Crowder offensively is nothing. It's nothing more than just a corner shooter.
Yeah, it's not comparable to the Kawhi Leonards and the LeBron Jameses of the world.
Imagine I don't know, series against a better Timberwolves team next season with Anthony Edwards, strong man offense. Also Pelicans with Zion. If God bless, I really hope that they really need to address that wing stopper problem, and we will have some insight about, not insight, but some preview of upcoming free agency class in this podcast, and maybe we will find something there. But I really think they need to try to ship off Hardaway Jr. And of course, the dilemma is with Jalen Brunson. How much? At least it seems like they are ready to pay him whatever it takes. And how much
a bit dangerous because
as
well, I mean, we just discussed the overvaluing of your achievements and of what you did, because you sort of ended up in advantageous situations because of what the other teams were going through. So now you see Jalen Brunson as the second best player of a Western Conference Finals team.
We've seen Hardaway Jr. previous season, not the finals team, but the Mavs still had a really good series against amazing Clippers team, and Hardaway Jr. was the second best player for Mavs in that series, and they paid him like $75 million.
Yeah,
and I think the best possible scenario for Mavs would be, of course, trade Hardaway Jr. for wing stopper, but if not, then re-sign Jalen Brunson. But if that's not possible, then just sign and trade Jalen Brunson for something like Jeremy Grant, because I know that Detroit is kind of looking for a point guard. And
Jalen Brunson would sort of, I mean, I can imagine him playing next to Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, because he's playing next to Luka. When you're playing next to dominant star to you.
And by the way, statistical tidbit, is that a word?
Yeah,
I believe it is.
It definitely is a word.
Yeah, so I guess it is. So a statistical tidbit, Luka Doncic had a usage percentage in these playoffs which was above 40%, which was the highest ever recorded. I mean, the Houston Rockets with James Harden was like less involved, or their offense was less dependent on him, or like Allen Iverson of the Philadelphia 76ers when they went to the finals. Those were the teams that were really dependent on a single scorer / playmaker, and Luka Doncic was even more important, or like even more, the team depended on him even more on offense than the aforementioned teams did. So I found
really
that
incredible.
to be like eye-opening.
Yeah, most definitely. Wow. Really? Even Harden?
Harden was like 37 or something.
And how much was?
Above 40.
Above 40, wow.
More than 40% of your offensive possessions ended in either Luka shooting or Luka passing to the shooter for a possible assist.
Or making a turnover.
Yes.
And yeah, it's really incredible. And when you have in mind that Dallas Mavs had Dinwiddie, Brunson, two players who can handle the ball and didn't play a bad playoffs overall. I think both of them increased their value. So it's really incredible achievement by Luka Doncic.
And they still have, they will have Spencer Dinwiddie next year. I mean, if they keep him and not decide to trade him, he's, yes, a contract until 2024, the final season being not fully guaranteed. They will be paying him 18 million next season. They still have the gargantuan salary of Davis Bertans, which is also a question mark. Will you be able to sort of trade him away for at least something and not with attaching further assets just to move on from his salary? And Jalen Brunson is literally the only free agent on their team. The entire team is sort of set up. I mean, they have Maxi Kleber has an unguaranteed salary for next year. Trey Burke has a player option, and Josh Green has a team option. But basically, the only player is Jalen Brunson. So it is the biggest question mark of the offseason for the Dallas Mavericks. And when we're talking about Luka Doncic, I think we can move on to the next sort of talking point.
Yeah, sure.
Where we will, maybe for the first time in this podcast, we'll move sort of out of the landscape of the NBA, because the next upcoming competitive game that Luka Doncic will be playing in will be played on the 1st of September in Germany in the upcoming European Basketball Championship. And the Slovenian national team, which will have Goran Dragic back for another ride, possibly the last, because he had already announced his retirement from the national team, but he's back for one last hurrah with the Slovenian national team. And the very first game that they will be playing will be against Lithuanian national team. So, we already met them in the qualifiers for the Olympics, which were held in Lithuania, and our team was sadly unable to defeat the Slovenian team.
It was an amazing game, actually. Like, not in just basketball quality, it was really, really, really amazing 40 minutes.
Yeah, it was intense, and of course, we did not have a happy ending. This was the first basketball Olympics that the Lithuanian national team missed since regaining independence and becoming an independent country in 1990. So it was a huge blow for us, but we will be facing Slovenia, and it will be a tough task to sort of get our revenge, because damn, Luka Doncic is just damn.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the only way to defend him is just do not defend anyone else. Basically, Warriors kind of did that, but because they have amazing rotations, and they were able to switch their defensive schemes throughout the game quite effortlessly due to high IQ of the Green, Kevon Looney, and other players. They managed to disrupt Mavericks' offense and even defend Luka himself.
I mean, he still put up 32 points per game. Yeah. And we are talking about, they were able to slow him down.
Well, because he wasn't as
effective. Only 41.5% from the field, which is the lowest in any series that he has played in the playoffs in his career.
And they managed to portray his teammates are as players who cannot play basketball at all at some points, and that's also, it's not like they were really good against Phoenix Suns and they were just bad and not making any shots against Dallas Mavericks. Well, there's against Warriors, there's some of that, but they also rotated better, closed out better, anticipated Luka's passes better. Also, Luka at the end of the series was much more afraid, at least in my opinion, to do those risky passes, because it seemed like Warriors always snatches them. And Lithuania won't be able to do that. I don't believe we have the defensive versatility even resembling Warriors.
It's international basketball. It is different in that sense that these guys do not have the chance to spend the entire season together and to just, try to polish the coal into a diamond.
And in Warriors' case, it's not one season. It's like 10
with
years.
National teams, you do have that it's sort of, a single generation of players basically forms a core of the national team, which has played together for quite a few years. But, every time you get together, I guess you still, I don't know if it is possible to sort of build, for example, a defensive identity and just awareness and a team sense of what you're doing onto a level that an NBA team or a EuroLeague team can, because of the nature of the international tournaments.
I think it's it's possible, but it's just like it needs to be much simpler identity. We are aggressive. This is our identity. We are playing drop pick and roll defense because we have JV. This is our identity.
That will definitely be the case.
And yes, of course, like international basketball is a bit different than NBA. The rules are different and etc. But Slovenia still will be 5 out, I think, in most cases. And I don't think you can play both. Or maybe you can try to play both.
Do they have
bombers.
like a good stretch 5 though?
Well, it was that.
I remember Gaspar Vidmar, but I don't remember him shooting threes.
It was that's naturalized American.
Yeah, Mike Tobey.
Yeah. So I don't know if he will play. Before that, it was Anthony Randolph, but I don't think he will play too. But if they don't have, they will have. By the time, they will definitely go to the Euros with some form of 5-out offense. And in that case, you just need to pick a person that you're not gonna defend. Otherwise, you're not containing Luka, and that's all that my basketball intelligence can offer to defend him.
So,
sometimes it's just that simple.
Would you go with let's just cut off the rest of the team, and if Luka scores 70 points, well, then let him do that?
Well,
or do you sort of attack him and let the other players beat you?
It's impossible to not let to only allow points from Luka Doncic and not allow from anyone else. It's just and when you get Luka rolling, then he's making better passes, and you need a lot of mental effort to stick to that plan. And I don't think it really works that well in basketball. So my option would be not to let Goran Dragic go mad, but just to pick one person, like the way Milwaukee defended against Boston Celtics in Game 7, which was okay. Grant Williams, you're able. There's possibility for you to have a career game right now, and either you will not have it and we will win, or you will have it and we will lose. And he did had it at the second half. But for the first half, it was quite kind of working. Like one-on-one, in pick and rolls, even Sabonis, he was more mobile than GV, but you still won't be able to defend. Maybe some crazy small ball on the defensive end will work, but you're not gaining anything on offense then. Lithuania don't have those amazing explosive guards, just to exploit. Make use of 5-out offense that you would be able to play with small ball, and we have amazing centers, so we need to play through them and think how we can use them on offense.
Yeah, which is a very good point, because our former head coach, I'm talking about the game in the Olympic qualifiers, I didn't see a single possession throughout the entire mini tournament where you would go, wow, now that's a smart way to use our two big guys, to turn that into our advantage. There was absolutely nothing in my eyes. And also talking about coming back to the topic, I would go if Luka has a weakness, a possible weakness, he's really emotional, really emotional. And if you would sort of be able to get him frustrated from the beginning of the game, possibly just try to physically just to piss him off, just glue a guy to him for the 40 minutes of a game. And this might possibly be a way of sort of, turning his emotions against him But it's it is a snowball's chance in hell, but it's the only chance we have.
So if Kazys Maksvytis will invite Jonas Mačiulis, Artūras Jomantas, and Vidas Ginevičius back to Lithuanian national team, then we'll know that he is listening to NBAS. So
yeah, but
we'll be waiting to expand that list of
I hope that
candidates.
Slovenia will not bring back Rasho Nesterovic. If we're
isn't
talking
he
about
head
Mačiulis,
of the
Might be,
Slovenian Basketball Federation? I think he was.
Might be. But anyway, so it will be a tough ask in like the next time Luka Doncic will be playing competitive basketball. We will be fuming, quite possibly. But yeah, we have a lot of sort of comeback stories. Well, not a lot of comeback stories, but we still have a European player playing, a couple of European players playing.
One of them
for it
more
all.
interesting than the other.
Why so?
I don't know. I think just Nemanja Bjelica is more interesting of a basketball player than Daniel Theis to me. And I was really, as we spoke in previous podcast, when it seemed like Nemanja Bjelica won't be playing any competitive playoff minutes in these playoffs. And just after that, he played competitive minutes and he played them well, the same way he did at the beginning of the last season. At the beginning of regular season. And I just really like to watch him in the Warrior system. He's really smart. The fits really well with Green and Looney for that. And he really fit well in this series. I think one of the reasons that I heard why he played well in the series and, for example, didn't in the others. Because against Luka Doncic, the same goes not only for Bjelica but for Kevon Looney too. When you're not as quick as like other forwards, and when your defensive strength is your IQ, your experience is, and you're also quite strong. These are the type of players that play quite good defense against Luka Doncic. He's not going to exploit you with his speed. He's usually exploits you with his smarts and like crafty moves and etc. If you can read that, you cannot like contain him, but you won't be exploited as much, as some other players would be, and that's why Nemanja Bjelica was useful against Dallas Mavericks, and I think he should be useful against Boston Celtics too. They are not as explosive team as Memphis Grizzlies, for example, or
maybe they don't have like such an explosive
they don't have quick guards.
lead playmaker or lead ball handler.
Yeah, they don't have quick guards, and Jason Tatum's offense is also like a bit different. He's like more that just take a ball, take a deep breath, and then make 1-2 moves and score the ball.
And then shout Kobe while you're shooting.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, the influence is quite easy to see there.
Yeah, and I think against this Celtics kind of offense, Nemanja Bjelica will have like 15 successful or at least useful minutes in the finals, and it's like, of course, on the offensive end, his passing ability really goes well with Curry and Thompson and Poole's off-ball movement, but sometimes he just doesn't make wide open layups. So that defense of Horford and Williams can be quite intimidating against him. So I really can't wait to see how Nemanja Bjelica, I don't know, like not a fairy tale, but just story of the season where he was like started the season kind of like non-factor player, then immediately rose to relevancy, and then kind of became irrelevant with the rise of Toscano Anderson and other players, and now at the biggest stage of the all season, he's coming back to play important minutes. So kind of a Boris Dia fairy tale, kind of a what Batum maybe will become.
That's actually an interesting comparison. I mean, especially offensively. On the defensive end, Boris Diaw was
much stronger,
miles better, yeah. But on the offensive end, I mean, the sort of function that they have, Nemanja Bjelica is a bit of a Serbian Boris Diaw.
So
he's playing in the playoffs for the third time in his career. He has done that with 3 different teams. What are the other 2 teams? The Nemanja Bjelica.
Miami Heat.
Yes, last season with the Miami Heat.
And correct me if I'm wrong, he didn't play that well for them.
No, he played for only in 2 games and then spent the rest on the bench.
And well, it definitely wasn't the Kings.
Well, no, he didn't play in 2004.
I don't remember other team that. Did he play for Philadelphia?
No, that would have been my guess. But he actually played for a team that made the playoffs for the first time since 2004.
Timberwolves.
Back then. Yeah, Minnesota Timberwolves. He played against the Houston Rockets.
Jimmy Butler and company. Oh, okay, nice.
That's just a random trivia pop-up.
Yeah, well he was spot-up shooter back then.
He will possibly be playing, I mean, if he will be playing in the playoffs next year, quite possibly he can be playing for the 4th different team because he's about to become an unrestricted free agent. And we have 20 upcoming European free agents in this year's market. And Nemanja Bjelica, if you sort it by the player salary for this year, is the 8th highest paid European upcoming free agent this year.
Yeah, and my guess would be that he will remain at Golden State Warriors for like that 120% extension that they can offer him. Like it's just a bit higher than he's getting right now.
Yeah, he's $2.1 million this season.
Yeah, or like if they want to retain him, then there's like Utah Jazz maybe, kind of
to be the new Joe Ingles for them.
Well, you won't be, but kind of a similar role, I think it's a useful kind of player. The players that can pass they are always useful. I don't know, maybe Clippers because they just get all the forwards they are able to. What do you think? Or should he go? Do you imagine like a non-contending team paying some, like, I don't know, giving him $8 million per year contract or something like that?
No, I think it's above his price range. But I could see him for example, Orlando Magic being interested in him as a veteran presence, as someone who has a high basketball IQ, who can sort of rub it off on the young players, make a positive impact towards them learning the game and playing the game the right way. But yeah, my guess would also be either staying with the Golden State Warriors or joining another contender on a short-term and low value deal in the NBA context.
If I was Cleveland Cavaliers, I would look at Nemanja Bjelica as a backup to Kevin Love, because they have Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley that are amazing rim protectors and can compensate for shortcomings of Bjelica. And of course, Love, he will be 34 and probably won't be able to play every game of regular season. And I think it's important for them to make a playoffs that next year. And I think Bjelica would be kind of nice backup forward.
Yeah, like plan B for Kevin Love.
And since they are, of course they have Markkanen too, but since they are playing those big lineups, he can slot into the small forward.
Yeah,
he won't be much worse than Markkanen is right now defensively. So I think we should look out for this if there won't be any rumors.
Yeah, I mean, the highest paid European player to become a free agent this summer is Ricky Rubio with 17 million. Of course, he didn't finish the season because of an injury. And Rubio is a player that you can sort of talk yourself into nearly on every team. As a bench point guard, if you need a stable sort of stabilizing factor for your team. Of course, not all teams have a need for a point guard, even a bench one, but where could you imagine Ricky Rubio? There have been like talks that he might be coming back to Cleveland, that they sort of dealt him away to just to get him back this offseason.
Yeah, well, they dealt him away just to get Caris LeVert. And then they knew that they will be able to get him next offseason. No, not next, but this offseason. And I don't know actually how much he will ask for and how's his condition after injury, how his rehab process is going on. It's really, really hard. But if he would become really cheap and his value would depreciate due to teams not trusting him, then if I would be Clippers, I would go for him because they need a second guard because they just have Reggie Jackson and nothing more. And they have bunch of wing players and etc. But I think Ricky Rubio could, just take all the regular season really easy, and they then just build up for the playoffs and maybe increase his value in the high moment of the playoffs and just get that back in the next year. That's if you don't receive any decent contract. I don't imagine how the market will behave for him.
Yeah, I mean, we do not have a lot of teams with cap space, so it's basically
like
mid-level
exceptions.
Yeah, exceptions and stuff like that you can get offered. Not quite a lot of teams that can offer you at least something more. As I said before, you can sort of talk yourself into Ricky Rubio in nearly every situation. For example, the Chicago Bulls to have a backup point guard. If Lonzo Ball has injury problems again, you could go like Charlotte Hornets to have someone playing next to LaMelo Ball and sort of also work as that stabilizing factor. You can, I mean, quite a few teams. As I said, the list would be a very long list. And Rubio is one of the players that you can sort of add to a contending team and add to a young and up-and-coming team.
And roles.
It would make sense sort of to have him in both scenarios. The second player that we have who is becoming a free agent, the most expensive European free agent, is the Bosnian beast, Jusuf Nurkic, 12 million in this past season. There are already sort of expectations and signals sent by Joe Cronin, the new GM of the Portland Trail Blazers, that they will try to retain him, and the Portland Trail Blazers need him to sort of compete or try to compete next season after sort of taking a year off, and because they also do not have sort of a lot of ways to substitute him with someone else because of their cap situation, even though they do have like only 93 million allocated at the moment for next year, so they have a bit of cap space, but there are not many centers, I believe, in this upcoming free agency class. So sort of trying to stick with Jusuf Nurkic sounds like a logical choice.
It is. I don't know if it's like it probably will happen, but I don't know if it's a logical choice because, they've shown time and time again that they cannot win with the team as it was constructed, and that they dealt McCollum away. And I think, go.
Yeah, they can actually have more cap space, but they will need to resign Anthony Simons. Definitely, I believe that's their top priority for this upcoming offseason. But they have Eric Bledsoe on their
books.
On their books, who has a 19.4 million contract for next year, but it's only guaranteed for 3.9 million up until June 29. So if they decide to waive him before the deadline, they pay him only 4 million and they save 15 more million for the upcoming summer.
And in free agency market, we have Nurkic, then we have restricted free agency situation with DeAndre Ayton, Serge Ibaka, Thomas Bryant, Ivica Zubac has a club option which probably will be taken since it's only 7 million and he's an amazing player. Then Javal McGee, he's unrestricted, of course. Mo Bamba restricted, Robin Lopez, good pickup. Gorgie Deng, Howard, Ed Davis, Whiteside, Drummond, Dedmon, Ball, and blah, blah, blah. There's one more player. I will want to talk about him later. Bismack Biyombo too. So he's definitely the best unrestricted free agent, and I think...
At his position, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he will gain some traction, especially for teams like Charlotte Hornets.
But with the Charlotte Hornets, I mean, is Jusuf Nurkic the type of a center that you would want on the Charlotte Hornets if you are Mitch Kupchak?
Yes. I don't know. He's definitely better than Plumlee. And just ability to create gravity after pick and roll, just to give some more space for LaMelo Ball. And because Plumlee can do whatever he wants on the offense, there's no time that he attracts more than one player at the defense, to double him, you know. Mm-hmm. And Nurkic, even his current version, is able to do that quite often. And just those worst teams sometimes needs quite simple things just to make them incrementally better, and Jusuf Nurkic would be able to do that. Also, team like Toronto Raptors really needs center, but in that case, I really think that he's not that type of a player. So my suggestion would be just look out for Charlotte Hornets if you're a Bosnian.
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of speculated that Jusuf Nurkic might receive a 5-year offer from the Portland Trail Blazers, that they will be paying him something around 16-18 million yearly. Yeah, I mean, their interest and their positional needs and being sort of not necessarily unable to replace him, but being in a tough spot with that is a big catalyst for them to really try to extend him and keep him on their team. Even though, I mean, it would be quite interesting for them to sort of at least try to throw a max offer sheet, if it's possible, if they renounce Eric Bledsoe and get some other ways to sort of get the cap space, to try to steal DeAndre Ayton from Phoenix. And if you are able to do that, then Jusuf Nurkic becomes a bit of an afterthought.
Well, with those restricted free agency offer sheets, it's always really, really difficult, because if you know that the team will match it, then you just lose ability for 5 days to...
3 days, I believe. Or is it 5? It
maybe,
used to be 3 at least.
Yeah, but it's basically after the first 3 days, most of the players are done.
Yeah, and you had locked up your sort of a part of your salary
max
cap
sheet. And if I was Portland Trail Blazers with a max offer, I would go, I don't know, for Zach LaVine or someone, or just more to bring back Mykolas Batum and other wing type of players, just to make your team different than it was before. But Suns will match it. I think there's no way DeAndre Ayton leaves Phoenix Suns without a sign and trade. There's no way.
Quite possibly, yeah. I mean, but we have heard about how cheap their owner is. That Robert Sarver does not really want to go into into the tax. So yeah, there is a possibility, but I would agree with you that it is more than likely that if he leaves Phoenix, he leaves on a sign and trade deal.
Oh, one more team for Nurkic. I think New York Knicks could be sniffing around. because they will probably lose Mitchell Robinson, and they can make some room in this offseason. And Jusuf Nurkic had a lot of injuries recently. He's still 28 years old. It is possible that you can sign him like for similar value that he's earning right now and get yourself a real good bargain, or sign him a bit more expensive, and then things go differently. And you,
I think that you will have to lure him out from Portland. You would have to go higher than the 12 million that he received this year.
Yeah.
And I believe that even Portland will make, if they make an offer for him, which looks to be on the cards, it will be higher than the 12 million, but it will still be in the teens.
Probably they will just retain
annually.
him.
Yeah, Serge Ibaka, number 3 on the most well-paid upcoming free agents with European ties, if we can call him that. I mean, he was born in Africa, grew up in Africa, but he has a Spanish citizenship, a Spanish passport. He had played for the national team. He has now announced that he would like to play for Spain in the upcoming European Championship, but Spain are considering giving the naturalized player spot to a point guard, Lorenzo Brown, I believe.
And not Nikola Mirotic?
They would leave Mirotic behind, they would leave Ibaka behind. They need a point guard now, so they are...
Really? Wow.
Yeah, they are looking for someone to give
Ibaka,
a passport
of course,
to.
he's like washed, but EuroLeague MVP? No? Okay, that's for other podcasters to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think Serge Ibaka will be getting more than minimum next off season.
You don't think somebody would throw a mid-level exception at him?
Like, he didn't show anything in Milwaukee. I just think theoretically he can space out the floor. But is it really a good use? Because if you just show mid-level exception for this type of player, you're not getting your mid-level exception back till this contract expires. And I really don't know. Maybe team like Chicago Bulls or Brooklyn Nets that desperately will need, some kind of resemblance to paint protection and the idea of spacing on the other end, but I think he really did depress his value this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he did play in 54 games, though. If you would have asked me before I opened his basketball reference page, I would have guessed way lower than that.
And the team like Clippers that really could use talents of Serge Ibaka, they just gave him straight up just to dump large bill of luxury tax, but we know the way. I almost said Joe Biden, but the Steve Ballmer is, and if the GMs of Clippers would go to him and would say, "We'll need Serge Ibaka, please pay the luxury tax, and we really need him off season," he would do that, but I don't think that was the case.
If it's a Zubats 7 million team option,
will be picked up.
Yeah, we both agree. There is only one possibility, that is, but I don't believe the Clippers are able to do that with their salary cap, is to decline the team option and for a chance to sign him to a long-term deal that would be a bit team friendlier than what he would demand next year. So that is a possibility, but I would be really surprised to see if it's a Zubats leaving LA Clippers this summer.
Yeah, and they will just pick him up, because if they were do that declining and extending, their luxury tax bill would just increase really by a lot this off season. So I don't think they will do that.
Dennis Schroeder, nearly 6 million, upcoming free agents. I don't believe that the Houston Rockets will go out of their way to keep him on the roster. So again, quite an interesting player. Your classic sixth man type, additional offensive firepower off the bench.
Yeah.
Where do you see Dennis Schroeder possibly ending up, or do you see someone that might be interested?
Well, the listeners will boo me, but if he won't get any decent offer, then he could be that guard that Clippers need. You know,
Yeah, I mean, we have talked about five players
And
now. You mentioned Clippers on 4, I believe, at least.
well, one of like two, Ibaka and Zubats were playing for them, and Rubio and Schroeder are guards. You know, so it's quite logical.
Fair enough.
Boston Celtics could use him. No, I think I don't know actually. Maybe like maybe Raptors should go after him. They really like those lineups with Trent as their point guards. You know, yeah, they are like sexy in a weird way, but sometimes you just want simple. Not always you want your sex to be just like tied in some corner of the room and etc. You just want make some casual love, and Dennis Schroeder can give you that. You know, just a simple pick and roll, like pull up shot.
Dennis Schroeder is the missionary of basketball.
Well, it's just like the way the basketball used to be before. Yeah, he makes the basketball simple. He plays it that way. He doesn't defend that well, but the Raptors definitely have the ways to compensate it. Of course, all comes down to the contract, the size of the contract. If you're giving up the chance of signing up someone that has possibility to help you in the playoffs, then no. But it's likely that Dennis Schroeder will be in lower range of salary than that.
If the range becomes like low enough, I can see like, what about like the Denver Nuggets, just to get an additional offensive punch and you know, a bit of an insurance if Jamal Murray is not coming back like at the start of the season, or is coming back but takes a lot of time to really get himself going. I mean, they could use, because they really needed a Dennis Schroeder type in these playoffs.
Yeah, and they will sign Nikola Jokic for 260 or something like that extension. Their owners told that they will pay the luxury tax, but their owners are Kronkes. So I really doubt that it's guarantee.
Oh,
and
you're an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, and in case they will trade Monte Morris, for example, just to evade the luxury tax, they could pick up Dennis Schroeder and would say he's even better.
Well, you know, we spoke about 5 players, and you mentioned the Clippers with 4 of them. Well, then let's go to number 6, Nicolas Batum.
Nicolas Batum, I think, will be the most asked about European player in this offseason.
Okay.
He's the type of player that would help any team and would play in any team in this, for example, conference finals. Even stacked Celtics would play him, the Heat would play him, and Warriors with like Mavericks, like Dallas Mavericks with Nicolas Batum would be so much better. I just you could name any team that wants to contend, that has a plans for that, and Nicolas Batum would switch right in. The way, like in those playing games that they played, and they lost of them, but Nicolas Batum was amazing. And he wasn't as good this season as he was previously, but he's definitely shown that he still has the strength to be a good defender. And the craft on the offensive end it wasn't lost, sorry. So I believe he will. Clippers should retain him, but it will take a lot financial flexibility and machinations for them to retain him.
Yeah, so he has a 3.2 million player option for next season. I believe that
he will reject that.
Yeah, he should. I mean, he will get some interest, most likely.
There's a way for Clippers. Some teams do that because they cannot. They don't have bird rights yet. Right now, they can ask him take that player option. Right now, just and under the table, they saying, next year, we're giving you like 3 years, 20 million offer. Doesn't matter what happens, you know. Just that make good kind of deal. The way, like in smaller case, the way Dwayne Wade had, or in Miami Heat, or Dirk Nowitzki had in Dallas Mavericks.
Now this is a freaking trivia nugget. I'm telling you, the seventh mostly fudge me, what the hell? Most paid European player, the number 7
With
on
highest
this
salary,
list.
yes?
Yeah, 3 million, was a point guard
Okay.
who finished the season or just spent the season with the New York Knicks. He's a 28-year-old player who does have a double citizenship. He does have a US passport, but he has a European passport as well, of one of European countries. This is just...
But he's American, like...
he played in the NCAA. He is even, I believe, an NCAA champion. I believe he hit a game winner or set up the game winner in one of NCAA finals.
Okay, let me think about it.
I mean, it's a crazy one. It's just...
Because I don't think I have him on my list, so I probably either... well, that's not Kemba Walker, is he?
No, he's not 28, man. Yeah, he provided the game-winning assist to Chris Jenkins in 2016, playing for Villanova. That is Ryan Arcidiacono.
Okay.
He played only in 10 games for the Knicks, just averaging 1.6 points, so an end of the bench guy, but technically he's one of the top 10 highest paid European upcoming free agents this year.
I don't have any insight about him.
Man, Ryan Arcidiacono, no, I mean, he quite possibly could follow another double citizenship Italian-American player, Nico Mannion, and go to Italy.
Yeah.
Because... well, I don't really see a lot of teams being interested in him. Like this season was the one where you sort of got your chance. I mean, somebody paid you, but he did not produce at any level, and he's already 28, which is I mean, I do remember him from the finals in 2016, but yeah, he was a senior player apparently, so yeah, he's already like approaching his 30s, approaching the tail end of his career.
He's the same age as
Jusuf Nurkic,
yes.
yeah.
What's next on your list?
We already talked about Nemanja Bjelica. We have 2 more players in the top 10. So that's Frank Ntilikina and Svi Mikhailuk.
Isn't like Ntilikina has a partially guaranteed next season?
Yes, a partially guaranteed deal. So quite possibly the Mavericks will keep him around.
Yeah,
you are absolutely right with this one.
I think most definitely will, because he's cheap and he's useful.
Svi Mikhailuk has a player option, 1.8 million. The same amount of money with a player option possibly belongs, and quite likely will belong to Thanasis Antetokounmpo. I guess he will agree to just extend it.
And Svi, I don't think he will.
Because, you think he will garner interest in the...
I don't know, like he didn't get any minutes in Toronto, and it's still like basically minimum. This contract,
but it's still, I mean, if you are signing Svi Mikhailuk, you're just signing the idea of Svi Mikhailuk, because he
like,
was unable
maybe
to.
He even could come back to Europe and get like like 600,000 or something like that, like a bit overpay since he's an NBA experienced player. The taxes, if it's in the country that has lower taxes than NBA, maybe it's even...
I mean, the NBA has quite different taxes in different states.
Yes,
so,
I know, but you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes like going to Europe isn't as financially worse for a player than going to just for a cheap or even non-guaranteed contract in an NBA.
So he will become 25 years old on the 10th of June, which is like 10 days from now. And yeah, I mean, even his 3-point percentage this season was lower than 31. So,
Yeah, because he comes out and he shoots like a bunch of threes no matter what. He doesn't play regular minutes, and his shot quality is usually the worst. because he's a shooter. He's been told to shot. Like Raptors are smart team. They are not punishing player because he's like not making his shots. They are just not playing him because they're better players than him, in their opinion. I would try him. I still trust this a third year that I trust the idea of Svi Mikhailuk.
We have, we can sort of run through the second.
There's the one player I don't want to run through.
That's Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yes, I think he will be really, really in high demand. A lot of teams that need a defensive.
Toronto Raptors?
Oh, yes. Toronto Raptors. Clippers themselves. They really need to retain him, I think, because I
believe he will be out of their price range. That he will get
they
not
have almost full mid-level,
salary.
I think, this off-season, and that's quite high. Mid-level is about 7 to 8 millions, I think.
Something. It's varies, sort of grows with the salary cap.
Yeah, so I sorry if I misspoke right now. Both of the Clippers having the full mid-level, and maybe they have just attacks, but doesn't matter. And then of the amount of money that mid-level can give to the player, but maybe he would stay for them because they will still give him long contract, and he likes them. But I also think he will be out of them because I would just take a flyer on this one, like something that of 12-14 million maybe in
Wow, that's a lot.
Well, yeah, that's a lot, but if you
that's like what Nurkic was paid this year.
Yes, I understand, and I don't think it's likely for him to get that, but I see the team that doesn't has salary cap, didn't got any of their primary targets, and then just take a flyer on if it's oh no, Isaiah Hartenstein got offer of 9 million to some team. Maybe I just up that offer and I have a center that has one of the best advanced stats of the rim protection, and it's really good at that, and can also make plays on the offensive end, can also pass. He's really becoming a really, really interesting player, and I think you want to become part of this project, and I really would love for Toronto Raptors to grab him, but I don't know really don't know what will happen with him.
So to run through the rest, we've got 1.7 million that was being paid to Isaac Bonga this year. We have 2 Slovenian players. We have Goran Dragic, of course, on a minimum with the Brooklyn Nets. We have Vlatko Čančar becoming a restricted free agent with the Denver Nuggets. We have Tomasz Satoranski, who was
going
already
back to Europe, probably.
Yeah, I mean, was having dinner with Šarūnas Jasikevičius, so a possible Barcelona interest. And we have 4 two-way contract players from Europe who were playing in the NBA this season. That's Arnoldas Kulboka, Charlotte Hornets. That's Ignas Brazdeikis with the Orlando Magic. That's Namias Keita, the only Portuguese player ever to play in the NBA, Sacramento Kings. And we have the British dude, Admiral Schofield. So none of these players, if we are honest, will garner a lot of interest from other teams that they are, other than the teams that they are playing with, if that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really hope that Brazdeikis will get the opportunity for regular basketball. I know it's because I'm Lithuanian and blah, 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 but when I see him playing a basketball, I see a basketball player in him. I don't know. If 2 seasons ago, someone would told me that Jordan Poole will become the player that he's right now, I would not believe you, but maybe Ignas Brazdeikis could become the next Jordan Poole. Of course, I know that he's older than him, but I really just that garbage minutes he's getting, he's just playing decent basketball.
He had a really good shot at cementing his spot with the Orlando Magic. Yeah, at the beginning of the season, he had not even decent playing time. Well, in the opening game of the season, he played 20 minutes. But then afterwards, throughout the whole season, he reached this mark only 3, 4, 5 times, and then in the silly season, at the very end of the season, he played for 5 consecutive games, more than 20 minutes. But
what's your guess?
What's my guess?
Yeah.
What happens with Ignas?
Yeah, where he does play next his next competitive basketball game, if we exclude the summer league.
Yeah, and the European Championship possibly, because he does
Hopefully.
have the Lithuanian passport. Yeah, hopefully. I would love to see him on the national team. That is a very good question.
But I don't think he will play for Lithuania, by the way.
Yeah? Why not?
I think just the paperwork and etc. and blah,
No,
blah,
but
blah.
he has already expressed his own interest.
I
The
really
paperwork
hope that
is already set. He can play for Lithuania because maybe some of our listeners do not know the full story. He was born in Kaunas, but when he was like 2 or 3 years old, his parents emigrated to Canada. So he grew up in Canada and he got a Canadian passport.
Yeah.
And we have really strict rules, possibly one of the strictest in Europe, if not the world, when it comes to dual citizenships. If you accept a citizenship of another country, you lose your Lithuanian citizenship. So we
if we wouldn't have
Brazdeikis,
really significant minority of significant neighbor, we wouldn't have this kind of rules.
Yes,
but
that is a way of sort of a protective law, because we could possibly have a lot of problems with that. So yeah, I mean, he went through the necessary paperwork. He got the Lithuanian nationality back, and he is eligible to play for the Lithuanian national basketball team, and has expressed his own interest, has met with the head coach. So yeah, possibly we will see him for the first time playing in European sort of rules in the FIBA world, because he grew up in Canada. Later he played for Michigan, and now he's playing in the NBA. He has never played in the sort of European rule set and everything.
When on May 13th, BasketNews journalist Lukas Malinauskas wrote an article that's called basically Ignas Brazdeikis still is not able to play for Lithuania, and there's some issues, like basically it's drown in unknown, the situation. So I really hope that you are right and he will be playing. So
And as for the NBA, I mean, maybe some team will take a flyer on him. I don't know if the Orlando Magic saw enough in his game to sort of extend even a 2-way contract to him after this season. The season, I mean, my heart bleeds to say that, but it was a really disappointing season for Ignas.
Yeah.
So hopefully he gets another shot, and if not, he will always have a lot of interest from possibly Žalgiris Kaunas, possibly Vilnius Rytas, possibly the upcoming new player in the Lithuanian basketball with the creation of another franchise. But that's not really a story for our listeners.
If I would be a GM that has a vision of Lithuanian core in EuroLeague team, I would definitely overpay for Brazdeikis rather than Strelnieks or some like Lithuanian center, because he can come to EuroLeague and suck, or he can come to EuroLeague and he, with his physical presence, can develop into one of the better players in the game. I really believe, because I just see the potential. I don't know if he will deliver on that, but some crazier things have happened.
Crazier things than this episode have also happened, but with the upcoming NBA finals, we didn't mention the finals. We did mention
that Nemanja Bjelica will probably play in the NBA finals. But this is the content that we are delivering.
Yeah, this is different.
If there's 10,000 weirdos in the world, you just show them if you know the weirdo, show them this podcast, and maybe they will enjoy them. And then you won't be hearing from us anymore. Just that weirdo will hear. And yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. Actually, it felt with points.
Nice, as they say in South Park. So yeah, to everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for listening or watching. Rokas, Grajauskas, Mykolas, Jankaitis saying have a beautiful summer, because it's already coming. It's basically here. When you are hearing this episode, it's already here. So we'll talk with you again in 2 weeks' time. And up until then, best of luck. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep on loving basketball and keep on being weird.